Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for the debut episode of Over the Top Rope with your host, Mr. Amazing, C.T. Berry. So yes, the new show under C.T. Berry has a new name. I have decided to go with Over the Top Rope. A buddy of mine suggested Top Rope Report, and then I took that and went Over the Top Rope because, my favorite wrestling pay-per-view is the Royal Rumble, so I figured, that would be a good name. And, so here's how Over the Top Rope is going to work. So, I said previously that I was going to do these once a month, but then, the more I got to thinking about it, the more, it'd be kind of hard to, remember everything that happened with all the wrestling promotions in a month. So, plus, it is hard to be able to catch every weekly wrestling show as it airs every week. Because I do other things and, I'm busy. So, whatever wrestling show that, I have a chance to watch in a given week, or, if I see some highlights online of some stuff that I think's noteworthy, I'll put that in. And in the past, I would talk about independent shows in their own video, but since they're all wrestling related, everything that relates to wrestling will be part of Over the Top Rope. So whether that's pay-per-view, independent, weekly shows, anything that relates to wrestling will be featured in Over the Top Rope. And I will try to do this on Sunday evenings, because Sundays are my days where I'm, less busy. I wanted to, watch a couple more wrestling shows before I did this, but, I didn't really have the time, and, I've had a long weekend, so even though I slept pretty much all day today, I'm still a little tired. Because I had that 8-hour day this week, and then, my wrestling show was last night that I worked, which we will talk about that in this video. So, without further ado, guys, let's get started. So, we'll talk about, I have a few things to talk about with WWE, and then a few things to talk about with AEW. And, because the only WWE show I got a chance to watch this week was SmackDown, and I was able to catch Dynamite and Rampage, but I did get some highlights of NXT, via social media, so, and I found a couple of things in there to talk about, and, I'll also be, like I said, talking about my show that I worked last night. So, let's start with WWE. Earlier this week on September the 12th, the merger with Endeavor, which is the company that owns the UFC, officially happened. There was a big meeting on Wall Street and pictures of, the two companies merging together. And, everybody's been speculating on what that means. Honestly, I don't think anything's really going to happen besides the fact that, Vince McMahon doesn't fully own WWE anymore. Like, he still has majority of WWE, but there's still that 49, like he has 51% and Endeavor has 49%. So, and I don't really think that means anything because, WWE has been a billion-dollar industry, for over 40 years. So why would Endeavor change that? Yes, we could argue about the booking of WWE. Like, over the years, there's been really good booking. There's been really bad booking. But at the end of the day, WWE is still a billion-dollar corporation because, like when kids watch it, they don't give a shit about all that booking. They watch it because they enjoy the product. And I'm still that kid. Like, yeah, there's some things I look at, behind the scenes stuff, and I'm just like, really? A lot of it has to do with AEW in my mind more than WWE when it comes to, like, booking and all that. But, there has been times I have questioned WWE's booking. But, I've been a Browns fan for, the vast majority of my life. So, it's like the Browns have let me down for over, a while. I mean, they're just now starting to get decent, in the past few years. So it's like, yeah, there's going to be things I love about WWE, and there's going to be things I hate about it. Just like the Browns, just like with anything I love. But, like I said, I don't think the merger is really going to affect WWE. What I would like to see happen, personally, is, WWE, like Endeavor, WWE, whatever, launch this network to where all of WWE stuff is on it and all of UFC stuff is on it. Because, there's people that watch UFC that don't really watch WWE, vice versa. And then there's people that watch both. Like, I would watch UFC, but I just can't afford all those pay-per-views. So, that would be really cool to get that in, like, one monthly low price. Get all the UFC fights, all the WWE shows. They even put their weekly content on there because then I would shut off my Sling that I pay, $40-some a month for. So, yeah. But, switching gears, we have a new NXT champion that was crowned Tuesday night, and that is the man Becky Lynch. Now, I did mention this previously, that, I seen it going both ways. I didn't think Becky Lynch needed the title, but I didn't think it would be all that bad had she won it. And I still feel that way. Because, yes, okay, let's look at this logically, okay? People boo the hell out of Dominic Mysterio, but he's drawing numbers. You've seen that. People have been watching the product more since Dom has become NXT North American Champion. Becky Lynch is one of the biggest stars in the WWE. Ultimately, the biggest women's star right now. So you want to get that on your product, and that Becky is going to help, those women develop. Because, yes, she beat Tiffany Stratton to win the title, but at the end of the day, it's going to make Tiffany look better. Because Tiffany Stratton is one of those homebrewed stars that WWE wants to, make a future champion. And that's how you do that. You bring the experienced guys down to help those younger guys develop. Which I think Braun Breaker is already ready for the main roster. But, that's why Baron Corbin's down there. To help develop people like Von Wagner. Especially, and Von's gotten better with talking, but, he has that mouthpiece in Mr. Stone. So, and I think Von has been doing really, really good at getting over in NXT lately. So, it's good that they have those veterans come down there and help those younger guys. Which I think is ultimately what they're doing with Becky Lynch. Because, okay, people were pissed when Charlotte beat Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's title. I was too. But, let's think of long-term storytelling for a second. Okay? Charlotte helped Rhea and Io Sky develop into stars. Look where Rhea and Io are now. Rhea's the Women's World Champion. Io's the WWE Women's Champion. Rhea defeated Charlotte at WrestleMania in what was arguably one of the greatest women's matches in WWE history. So you have to think about it in long-term storytelling. And speaking of long-term storytelling, I did not put this on my notes, but, I am going to say this. Like, people are, sick and tired of all the Bloodline storyline, right? And I've made that comment before, too. Like, I'm like, this is kind of getting a little old. But, as Roddy Piper used to say, rest in peace, Roddy, you think you have the answer, but I changed the questions. Or something like that. And that's what they're doing. Because now, people are like, oh, what's all this crap with Jimmy? He hated the Bloodline. He wanted out. And then now he's like, he attacked Jay because he loved him and he didn't want him to turn into Roman. But it's like, we have to be patient and let the story play out. And it's the same thing with Independent. Because on my debut match, we had a talent meeting in the locker room. And the promoter was talking about, how people want to come in and by their second show, they want a title match. That's like, no, that's not how that works. And that's like, even me as a manager, like, we have some stuff, kind of that we've discussed. But, it's like, I want to tell a long-term story. It's like, I do not want to just go from one guy to another guy to this guy. And, you know what I mean? We play into it and we tell a story. That is how wrestling is supposed to work. So, switching gears now, the first SmackDown under the Endeavor umbrella, The Rock and Pat McAfee returned to SmackDown, which I did not expect either one of them to be there. And, and I think they had an amazing segment with Austin Theory, because Pat McAfee and Austin Theory had a match at WrestleMania in which Pat McAfee won. So, they revisited that rivalry. And then, The Rock came out, and then, they were all just, dissing Austin Theory and what have you. And it ultimately ended with The Rock and Pat McAfee both delivering people's elbows on Austin Theory. And I thought it was just a really well done segment, and it's gotten millions of views on YouTube. So, if this is what the WWE and Endeavor merger is going to shape up to be, man, sign me up. But, and then let's talk about the NXT Heritage Cup tournament. I've enjoyed watching it over the past couple weeks, and this is something I'm going to criticize WWE, so they're copying the Super Junior Cup thing that New Japan does. I mean, I don't think it's bad, but it's just like you can tell it's a copy of it. You know what I mean? Which I understand, the Heritage Cup's supposed to be this world thing or whatever, but I don't know. And I mean, and I'm not saying it's bad, but, it just seems kind of like, a copy and paste kind of thing. It was like even in the Walk storyline on WWE, they did the same thing, and it's like, tell me you're copying New Japan without telling me you're copying New Japan, because that's what they were doing. But, whatever, I just like people to have their own original ideas, and to me it doesn't feel like an original WWE idea, but that's just my opinion. As, everything that I say on Over the Top Rope is all my opinion. But switching gears, let's go to AEW. Next week is AEW Grand Slam, and there's going to be some great matches set up. And we are going to talk about 4 of them. So the first one is MJF versus Samoa Joe. Now, this feud, I really liked, where this feud's heading, the story that they're telling. Because when Samoa Joe was in NXT, he was NXT champion. And I believe it was TakeOver Brooklyn. I think this might have been like 2015, I think. He, did like a Goldberg type entrance. And MJF, was an extra as a security guard, and he had just gotten his start in the business. No one really knew who he was at the time. And, now MJF is the AEW World Champion, as well as one half of the ROH Tag Team Champions. But, at All Out, when Adam Cole and MJF were headed to the back, Samoa Joe shoved MJF again, and MJF fought back. Now we have this Grand Slam Eliminator tournament where the winner would, face MJF for the AEW World title at Grand Slam. And ultimately, I thought the tournament, would either go in the favor of Roderick Strong, because, Roderick Strong has showed jealousy over Adam Cole's friendship with MJF. But, and now Samoa Joe brought, the thing up from, Brooklyn all those years ago. And, now they're using that, which, I like that, personally. Because it's like, all the hardcore fans know about it. They watched that show back then, and, now MJF has grown into a top star in his own right. So, and then MJF, Samoa Joe, has been targeting the neck of MJF. So, this is a match I'm really looking forward to see this week on Dynamite. And, and then I also have it tied up in here, the Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. As I said, Roderick Strong has been jealous because he feels that Adam Cole ditched him for MJF. And now Roderick Strong has also brought Adam Cole's former friends, The Kingdom, which is Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, into the mix. And, and they're all saying, well, Adam Cole always forgets his true friend. It's like, he uses us to get what he wants and then he drops us. So, this whole story has been interesting. And not to mention the fact that Roderick Strong's neck injury was caused by Samoa Joe. So, I'm really excited to see how all of this plays out in the coming weeks on AEW. So, switching gears, we have Toni Storm versus Saraya for the AEW Women's title. All in Wembley, in Paige's home country. Paige captured the AEW Women's title. And she pinned her former Outcast teammate, Toni Storm. Because Toni Storm thought, Paige was just, or Saraya, it's a habit, I knew her as Paige. But, was going to lay down, and Sarah's like, no, I want this. And, she sprayed the spray paint into Toni Storm's face and hit the, I'm just going to say Rampage because I don't know what she calls it in AEW. I forgot. That DDT type thing that she hits. And won the AEW Women's title. And now, Toni Storm's kind of gone insane. It's like, the Outcast left her, and, she's just been going crazy, so who knows what's going to happen with these two. I think Saraya's going to retain, and we're going to see more of this lunatic Toni Storm gimmick, but as I always say, we shall wait and see. And then, another match that I am really looking forward to seeing is Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara has become one of my favorite talents on AEW. And I've watched Chris Jericho for years. So, and these two started the Inner Circle. They've been rolling together since the first episode of AEW Dynamite back in 2019. And, they've kind of, been button heads as of late. And, now they're going to finally, go at it to see who's better. And, I think, personally, it's going to result in Sammy Guevara getting the victory over his mentor. And then maybe, because I think it'll end, with Chris Jericho getting jealous and be like, because I don't think Chris Jericho's just going to take that victory quietly. You know what I mean? I think they might try to go after the AEW, the AEW tag titles. I was about to say Ring of Honor, but I'm like, no, I think they're wanting the AEW ones. But I think, this will put Sammy over majorly, and Sammy deserves it. Sammy's worked his ass off for years, and I could really see him being world champion, and I hope he becomes world champion, because Sammy is a stud in that ring. Him and his wife are both good. I watched Tay back in her WWE days, and I think, she wasn't used right. She was criminally underrated, and I think, after she has her baby, she's going to come back and be a star in the women's division, just like her husband is in the men's division. But, The final thing I have for AEW is Jade Cargill. She lost the TBS title to Chris Statlander, and then made a comeback to challenge for the TBS title again, but was unsuccessful at it. And then, her and Statlander embraced in the ring, and it has been reported by several outlets online that Jade Cargill is headed to the WWE and out of AEW. Now, I know people have criticized Jade Cargill's ring ability. I have been impressed with Jade myself. And I think she would fit really good under the WWE umbrella because she has that model type body that WWE looks for. She's really strong. She's like Bianca Belair a little bit. But, the thing I don't agree with is, her skipping NXT and going to the main roster. I think she does need work in NXT because I don't think she was really trained all that well in AEW. And, in WWE has the Performance Center. They have all those guys that are incredibly experienced. And, I think she would do really good in NXT. And then bring her up to the main roster to feud with Bianca and all those ladies. So, with that in mind, let's talk about WWE Endless Summer. And I want to thank my friend Ryan Beatty, aka Maverick, for posting these results on Facebook. I know you boys always look forward to me recapping the show, so I'm going to do that right now. So, in match number 1, we had a number 1 contenders match for the hybrid title, and it was Aaron James versus Taxi, and the match never started because Aaron James's crew, the Syndicate, attacked Taxi before the bell started. But I don't know, I didn't get a chance to see any of the matches, other than my own match. But, Taxi did say that he was injured. So, I hope it's nothing serious, and, I hope Taxi makes a speedy recovery because, I think he's just a really talented wrestler and a really, really good guy. But the Syndicate, they want all the gold, baby. They are wanting to take over WWE, and they will not stop. They have possession of the WWE Tag Team titles that are currently being held by Damian Abel. Damian does not have a tag team partner currently, but he was injured at the last show, so he could not be there for Endless Summer. And the tag team titles were stolen by the Syndicate. And the Syndicate, like I said, they are running roughshod over WWE ever since they returned. And, they will not stop until they have all the gold. And then we had a triple threat match between Jason Hatchett, Aaron Sullivan, and Johnny H. And Johnny H came away with the victory. Now, I had a chance to, meet all 3 of these guys in the locker room. Very, very cool guys, I really, really enjoyed it, especially talking to Aaron, about wrestling and telling stories and, that sort of thing. And, these guys were telling me some of the spots they did in the match, and, one guy got thrown into a ladder. I think another guy jumped off of one. These guys at this promotion do not play. They go all out for their matches. And it's unreal what some of these guys are willing to do. You sit there in the locker room and you're just like, Are you insane? Like, why? But they do it, and they do it for our entertainment, so kudos, tip my hat to them. And then, my match, Brock Hudson with James Enix's brother, Paul Eno, and James Enix was accompanied by yours truly, Mr. Amazing, C.T. Barry. They did call me Corey Hot Wheels, but I didn't get a chance to tell the guy who was announcing, like, hey, I had a name change, but it's okay. We are still C.T. Barry, just, I didn't get a chance to give, the memo that I wasn't Corey Hot Wheels anymore. But, I mean, God. This match was insane. So, the match started with Brock Hudson spitting mist into James Enix's face, and then James Enix cut Brock Hudson open with a cheese grater, and then, they went back and forth, and then, Brock told Paul to hit James, and then Paul was like, no, I'm not going to hit my brother. So then Brock was yelling at him, and then, Brock Hudson showed Paul Eno how to, swing the frying pan, and then Brock, decided to, whack James Enix in the head with the cookie sheet, not frying pan, cookie sheet, himself. So, and then they decided, James Enix decided to put Brock Hudson through a table, but the table unfortunately did not break. But then Brock Hudson decided to go outside of the ring and try to have Paul hit James in the head with the cookie sheet. Paul still refused, and then eventually Paul just said, you know what, screw it, I had enough of you, and decided to whack Brock Hudson in the head with the cookie sheet instead of his brother. And then, a little later on, Brock Hudson decides to bring thumbtacks into the ring, and then he was slammed into the thumbtacks by James Enix, and James Enix picked up the win. Thus, and then James Enix cut a very emotional promo saying that, he thought he lost his brother, and then, Paul grabbed the mic and said, this has always been for you, I've always been on your side. And then, they embraced in a long hug, and then, I shoulder bumped both of them. I was very, very happy to be in the corner of James to help him get his brother back on his side. So now, the Wheelchair Mafia is coming for all the gold, baby. So everybody in the WWE better watch out, because we're not going down without a fight. And then we had the Mountain State Championship. Dark Suede, he's also known as Johnny Suede, but he decided to go under his Dark Suede persona for this match, and he took on defending Mountain State champion Maverick, and Maverick picked up the win by DQ. I don't know how Dark Suede was disqualified. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the match, but I'm sure these two will go at it again in the future. And then we had the Revolution, which is Wildcat and Alan Platinum, take on the Syndicate, represented by Ryan and Nate Steele, and they were accompanied by Aaron James. And Syndicate was able to pick up the win. And like I said, Syndicate, they want those tag titles. And and Aaron James, he claims to be the rightful WWE champion. So, Syndicate wants all the gold. Like I've said. So, we shall see what happens. And then in the main event, it was JC Grunge versus WWE Champion Gino, where the winner got to pick this stipulation for the next match. And according to what Gino told me, his manager cheated because the last time his manager was out there, he hit JC Grunge when Gino's and the referee's back was turned, allowing Gino to pick up the win, but Gino did not want to win that way. And, Gino was very upset with his manager. And JC Grunge, he said that he wanted both men, Gino's manager John and Gino, in the ring at the same time so he could take them both out. And that match will take place on Saturday, September the 30th. Doors open at 6. Bell time is at 7. So be there for West Virginia Wrestling Entertainment's next show. Again, thank you to Ryan/Maverick for posting these results. And guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Over the Top Rope. I hope to get more wrestling, watched this week. I really want to watch, Impact 1000. I heard it was really good. And, I'll try to talk about some of that, as well as next week's Impact in this show. I won't be watching Raw live again this week because the Browns play on Monday night. So, like I said, whatever wrestling I get a chance to watch, I'll talk about it on this show. So, with that in mind, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.